everybody, today is the day. The Cage Kits roll cage has arrived. So for those of you who don't know anything about cage kits, it's basically a roll cage on a pallet. The car has no cage, and literally in just a couple hours we'll have this thing completely fit and tacked up. And here's why. Look at these guys. Roll cage on a pallet. Literally everything is CNC bent, so they scan the car, they CNC bend it, so everything is supposed to be super, super tight, and they give you a box of all CNC bent and laser notch tubes. So unlike these other cages where you still would have to notch them, like the mail order cages, this thing is ready to go. And even look at this, I sanded this so you can see it. It even has a indication of where each tube lands, so that you really can't screw it up. I mean, you could probably screw it up, but you really can't. Comes with a box of base plates. So these are obviously all Corvette specific. Anti-intrusions, front plates, rear plates, door bars, dash bar, literally everything on a freaking pallet. So what we're doing right now is prepping the car. I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of a tutorial, I guess, when we're doing this, because this is a big deal, right? Like, this is kind of a new thing to all, especially drifter guys, because these guys are drifters, right? And they kind of started making cages for 240s and BMWs and whatnot, but obviously they're expanding. So, first thing, gotta clean all the box surfaces. So that's what Alec is working on right now. You see this is clean here, no paint all the way around. What we do is we will scrape it. I really like heating it with like a MAP gas torch, scrape it, then you get in there with the wire wheel. So wire wheel options are like this for a drill. Look at your long little dong there, dude. Look at that thing.
Yeah, dude. Check it out.
That's for hard to reach places.
This corner right here.
Wow. That's quite the Dong Johnson there. And then also, if you're a real badass, use one of these. These things are gnarly. They throw all kinds of shit, so gotta be, yeah, dangerous. Gotta be careful with that. But once all the area is clean, then you can kind of start fitting up and where your base plates are gonna fit. So, grab the base plates, bring those things over here. Boom. And then they're all labeled here as well. Where is it? Yeah, so C6, that's the driver's side, DS. There's the passenger side, front A-pillar. Boom, that drops in just like that. Look at the gaps, super nice. And the rear here, that's the driver's side, passenger side. These fit up in here, boom. Just like that. So that's why we're getting the glue. There's a ton of glue in this corner, especially on a Corvette. And I talked to the boys, they said, you might need to do a little bit of grinding, fitting, especially this is the first C6 like pro cage that they've done. So what we kind of ended up doing was taking a little bit of this, especially how we did the A-pillars and how the A-pillars go up in the roof. And what we've did, that's the demo car. And what we've done on this, so the A-pillars on the race car honestly left a lot to be desired, but I wanted to keep the stock roof with the latch and the removability and all of that. So that's kind of where this wound up. But yeah, it wasn't the best. Now we have 4 bend A-pillars, like what we have here in the demo car. 4 bend, so 1, 2, 3, 4 back to the hoop, and how this goes up into the roof. This is going to be exactly the same. We've actually had them scan it with the race car's carbon fiber roof, where we completely cut out the side, so that would be something that you guys would have to do. This is a stock roof and it would be the same. You have to cut out the inner panels with it. But yeah, the first step is unbolt all this stuff, unscrew it, lay the hoop in, and figure out where those rear boxes go exactly, and kind of go from there. So this will be it. That was a really long intro, but going to have Alec get these boxes fixed. And what I'm actually gonna do is, first things first, sand all those tubes, clean it. I'm going to use Scotch-Brite and some contact cleaner. I'm gonna clean all the coating off of it. Obviously it's like an anti-rust coating, but if I tack everything up, my tacks are gonna be dirty, then I'll be cleaning it after, trying to clean afterwards when the tubes are welded, like halfway welded together, not good. And obviously not gonna be so good for paint. So step 1 for me, clean all this. So started also using some Lucas Oil Toolbox Buddy penetrating oil here. I think it keeps it lubed a little bit better, especially that's a lot of sanding. So tubes are cleaned and wiped down with the contact cleaner. Look at that. And you can clearly see exactly where all the tubes are supposed to go together. Boom, that's sick. So next thing would be to fit up these plates if they need any trimming and kind of get them set in the right direction-ish. The one thing about doing this when it's already done, right? Like the hoop is already done, it's already trimmed. You kind of have to put these underneath the hoop and set the hoop height because it can all move around a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do next. Figure out the height of the hoop and get those rear boxes tacked and then get the hoop tacked. That'll be the next steps. All right, so before we get ahead of ourselves, we came to the conclusion that we should probably remove the stock dash bar because this is the Cage Kitch dash bar. It basically runs parallel with it, just a little bit closer to the driver. See how the shape of that is? So we're gonna remove it. It unbolts here, but is bonded in here. Yeah, very bonded. Dude, that's GM bond, bro. You ain't getting that out that easy. Hell no.
Permanent?
Permanent. So we got to drill out some spot welds, cut a couple of welds right here, and then the base will come off. And it's cool because this is meant to kind of replace, so we'll be able to weld it to the transmission tunnel right here, so it kind of ties it all together. Yeah, but we're this close to getting ready to drop the hoop in, but came to the realization, got to do that. Can't get ahead of yourself. All right, we got our spot weld cutters here. Specific little drill bits just for this. There's a couple of different styles. We're gonna give this one a go. But the secret is, you find where your spot weld is, you go right in the middle, you punch it, then get your spot weld cutter on the drill and drill it in there. There's probably like 10 or 12, 10 on each one. Yeah. All right, get going, Alec, here you go. Drill? Here's the drill. Oh God, I hate this part.
Don't we have another one?
Hey, let me work it this way now.
There we go.
Nice. Oh, but yeah, how we intended it. Oh, got it! See ya! Oh, spot welded it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What that was?
Yeah, it's also spot welded in, look. Too. So even though I cut the sides, it's also spot welded.
This is cool though.
Nice. Spot weld drilling. The worst. Spring loaded punch. Dip the bit in some cutting fluid. Let her eat. That thing eats pretty good, dude. Hell yeah.
And we'll have compression. I was like,
Hey-o.
I guess it will have.
Nice. Yeah, it looks pretty clean.
Yeah, almost this card's not gonna do it.
Very good. That's a little denty. Fix that up.
Hammer, dude. Malik.
So now that I got the old dash bar out of there, I got to do a little bit of cleanup on the transmission tunnel right here, just so that it looks nice when it's all finished up, all smooth. And I'm going to show you the new dash bar. It's essentially in the same shape as the original one, but since we're going to be using like a tubular sort of steering column mount right here, this is going to work perfect in the car. Yeah, so I gotta do a little bit of cleanup before we start tacking this thing in.
Woo. Just finished doing a little adjusting on the plates here. Put a little angle in that plate right there just to do with this weld seam. Got to adjust it. Every car is slightly different. Each one of these just slightly different. So a little bit of adjusting with just a flat disc on a grinder. And yeah, she fits great. Boom. Next step is gonna be bring the hoop over here and kind of try to figure out the height, because it's a couple things, right? The hoop is gonna determine the box height, but the box height determines the hoop height. But all of it kind of needs to work together, the hoop and the A-pillars as far as height-wise goes, in order just to figure out the height of the boxes. So we'll bring that in and just kind of see how it feels, and it'll tell us what it needs. It's kind of how it works. We just put the roof ledge on and the molding and set the roof on, because we got a little ahead of ourselves. And I was just hitting up Rob, kind of asking him where the hoop is intended to fit based off the CAD drawings, because it's probably different than those two, right? And I'm kind of comparing from what I did, so I need to know where it was designed to be to follow the directions. He also made a recommendation that, I got the A-pillar in here, we kind of tack the A-pillar to this and work it as a whole so that we can figure out exactly where the hoop goes, where the A-pillar goes, because then obviously the door bars are going to determine the angle and the length of those two. So we want to get them tacked and kind of get the hoop up in the place that it's supposed to be, and then hopefully use the door bars to set the angle of both. So I'm going to tack this up, and hopefully it'll kind of hold itself up, because right now I've got like my feet in here, some wood, some magnets, all that to try to hold it up. Let's get it tacked. All right, this is where we're at. Tack the A-pillars in 3 different times, but I think that the trick is, and we're learning as we go here, we have one tacked in, but the problem is you can't tack it because the A-pillar has twists, and that's determined by the dash bar, right? Because the feet are gonna swing in and out. So we're gonna have one tacked in, we're gonna put the other A-pillar up, try to get the dash bar squared up, and move, kind of twist both the A-pillars till we find where it's centered on the plate, where it makes sense, and where the door bars are gonna fit in. So you need to leave that one there and probably cut the tack a little bit so that we can hopefully twist it and wiggle it, because I know that's gonna need a little wiggling. And get this one tacked up. We got one A-pillar mostly in place, but it's a surprise because the door bars totally determine where the A-pillar goes. I got it in a place where I was like, okay, this is probably it. Went to put the door bars in, and it's pushed the A-pillar way further forward than what I thought. So keep that in mind, obviously, that the door bars really set the distance between the hoop and the A-pillar. I mean, that's probably obvious, but coming from somebody who's like trims the door bar in, it's totally different. Yeah, that A-pillar is in such a different place now. Okay, this is what little update. Lowered that box a little bit so that the hoop was totally level. Kind of found a happy place where the hoop is. And what really kind of made this all work a lot better is you hold the A-pillar, I held the A-pillar, Alec got the door bar basically where it needed to be, tacked the A-pillar with one tack so it can kind of still rotate and move around, then got the door bar placed exactly where it needs to. And now I think we're finally moving. Finally. What do you want to do? Do you want to do the other A-pillar, or do you want to do that other door bar first?
I would say...
I think the other A-pillar, honestly.
Yeah, that way it's all nice and square.
Yeah.
And then these 2 upper door bars it should fit right at that point.
But I think for sure we need to do the other A-pillar, because the roof bar, we have no idea if that thing's gonna fit, if these need to rotate. So let's get the other A-pillar fit up. Okay, we made good progress. We just actually got the other A-pillar tacked, got this door bar tacked, and slid the roof bar in. And then now we're seeing, okay, we're gonna have to trim the roof a little bit. So this is a carbon fiber roof, like basically molded off. It's HDK's Z06 version of a roof. I already knew that I was gonna have to cut some out, which I'm pumped, because really you only need this outer skin. So all the inner stuff, we're trimming that out so there's way more headroom. So that's what Alec is about to do, because we gotta kind of figure, all right, the roof needs to be in its place. We need to make sure that we're happy with this, because although it fits perfect, I wanna make sure that it works perfect with my roof, right? Because it's the first time we've ever had this. So trim the roof and see how it fits, but so far, really what helped us was finding the position of the boxes. Once the boxes were in position, then the A-pillars and the door bar, do those together. I held the A-pillar, Alec held the door bar so that we could figure out kind of the tilt of it, tacked it, and now we're finally moving. Lower door bar tacked, hoop mostly in its position. We're gonna tack the upper door bar now, and obviously to set the height, even though that there's markings here, we need these, because this is truly gonna set the the twist, right? Because we're gonna put it where they intended it, right there. But the twist of the door bar, you know, the notch rocks a little bit. So. Ooh, that's a good looking door bar there. That's a good looking door bar. Door bars are all tacked in. Alec is working on cutting the roof out so you can see exactly how much we've been cutting, trimming more, because that A-pillar fits up inside the roof, how it should be. Now we're going to tack the harness bar in, and of course, we have the level, and this thing's cool. It's a nice digital level with a magnet on it. So we'll get this. Zero it, you check the hoop. Freaking level to the chassis. The hoop is perfectly level to the chassis. So we can bring this over and level that to the harness bar. All right, so yeah, get it where it fits about right. And then the height, because yeah, we're gonna want it, you know, right about here. My shoulders are halfway through these, so it can be slightly lower than, but you definitely don't want it higher than the shoulders. So let's put this on. Keep that up. That's your level, so you need to go up on this side. Yep. Then you feel the rock right there. It's pretty good, you know?
Yeah, this side.
Yeah. And let me check from the front here. Oh yeah, right on the money. We could probably have it down just a tiny bit more, like rock it down a tiny bit more, as long as our gaps are still good. Cool. And obviously, like, you can rotate it up and down to get it to your exact shoulder height. It's meant to go in a certain place, but you know, get it where is right for you. Yeah, and get it level. We tack it. The other side, passenger side harness bar, same thing. Level. Zero it to the chassis. Even though it tells you exactly where to put it, right, because the laser cut marks on the tube, I still would say level it. And then remember, like, my chassis isn't totally level because it's on the lift. So that's why I picked something, the main hoop, this, the box tube, the trans tunnel to zero the level on, so then you know it's straight. So Alec got the roof totally trimmed up. You can see the A-pillars fitting up inside the roof. And then we did that because the front of the roof gets bolted on right here to the actual, like, A-pillar window frame. And this tube probably is intended to go up and touch that aluminum A-pillar window frame, but the roof hangs down just a tiny bit, like a 1/16 of an inch. So we put the roof on so that we can rock this up, bring it just off the roof, and then tack it so that there's no room. Because this thing still has to get welded, you know, it's gonna move. Little tiny bit of room is perfect. Cool. Oh, you should be able to let it go.
Yeah.
Cool, I just pulled it off of it just a bit. Twisted on the tack. So bring this drop down. So it needs to go up a little bit, yeah, right there. Good?
Yep.
All right, now I need to lay where you are. Yep. So I can eyeball square it. I always eyeball test it. You pick a little spot. Is there a little cutout here, a front edge? Get in the line of sight. Make sure it's level. Straight, square across. Boom. Perfect. We were just fitting up the dash bar, getting that figured out. Especially with my car because I have a Woodward steering column. So we're just making sure that the height of where they intended it is going to work for me for where I have my steering column. That steering column mount goes right there. So we have to do some measuring off that car, see if we have to adjust it at all. But Alec got these plates fit up for the rear bars. We'll tack the rear bars and the plates in and then reshift our focus back to the dash bar. Cool. Okay, we just tacked up the last couple of things. We got the dash bar in, nice and leveled. I still do need to check the steering column, make sure the right height, because I can't adjust it. I set the dash bar just slightly lower than they intended it so that I can set it on the trans tunnel because we removed the stock one. So I'm gonna weld the Cage Kitch dash bar to the trans tunnel right there. And then we just put in these braces. Perfect fit, completely square, crazy. After we weld the whole thing up, we will have to weld in the anti-intrusions. That's these pieces right here. We just put them in there just to see what we're getting ourselves into, but dang. Dang. Yeah, one thing that, like, make sure you eyeball things, right? So I stand here, I see the A-pillar gap right there. Is that the same? Is it touch at this point and that point, or not touch and touch, or make sure that's the same there. You can kind of like bend up and down until you're like, oh yeah, I can see line of sight. Roof bar is totally level to, you know, that corner and that corner to the window frame. Same thing with the braces. You're like, all right, because you can roll them around and move them just a little bit. Does it look the same? Line of sight. This gap, does it measure the same? Does this to this look the same? So it's all about looking at it and making sure it looks square. Same thing with the harness bar. You want to stand back and make sure, oh, does those points, do they connect, and does that look square? Do these to where they go contact the hoop, does it look square? Lots of things, lots of eyeballing, but damn, this thing fits good. Now it's time to get the demo car ready for Winter Jam and pack all this up. I'll have to weld this next week.